Hello, everybody, and the time has come. We are now 2 days away from Election Day, and I will be making my final Senate election prediction for 2020. So, in 2 days, we'll be able to see if my prediction was any right or way off, but I do think it will be pretty right based off of, everything that I've been concluding. So, let's just get off with it, start off, and, let's bring the show to the road. So, Oregon will be a safe Democrat state, along with the states of Delaware, New Jersey, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. They'll all go in the safe Democrat column. For the safe Republicans, and I'm going to be spending a lot more time on lean and tilt states. Safe Republicans are, as usual, Idaho, Wyoming, South Dakota, Kansas, and Nebraska, Oklahoma, Arizona, Louisiana, Tennessee, West Virginia, Kentucky. Those are going to be all the safe states. I do think Mitch McConnell's seat will remain a safe Republican seat. So now to the likely Democrat seats. I'm going to be going with Virginia will be a likely Democrat seat, along with I'm going to come back to that. Illinois will be a likely Democrat seat. I forgot kind of about Illinois. And I'm going to go with New Mexico. Will be a likely Democrat seat. Maybe off, but I do think New Mexico is a pretty solid Democrat state, and I think it will go to the likely Democrat column. So let's get to likely Republican seats. Alaska will be likely Republican. I know it's a bit closer in the race, so I'm just going to leave it at likely. Kansas, Chris Kroback obviously was not the nominee, and the GOP will pretty much win that race, I do think, by a likely margin, along with Mississippi and Alabama. Will all be likely Republican seats. That gives them a 44 to 43 seat majority. Now, the rest of these states, in my mind, are going to be either lean or tilt to one party. So let's start with lean Republican states, because for me, that's a bit easier. Texas and John Cornyn's seat. Texas is obviously trending more Democratic. However, I do believe John Cornyn, still very popular senator in Texas, he will win that race there. Also, the Georgia special election and Lori Lougher's seat, it will be a runoff, and she'll end up winning that seat. Maybe by a lean or likely margin. I'll leave it in the lean category right now. As well as South Carolina will be a lean Republican seat. I'm going to go and jump to lean Democrat seats. And that's going to be Colorado with Cory Gardner's seat. That'll be the first Democratic pickup of the night. Shaheen in New Hampshire. That will also be, or I guess the Democrats will retain that seat. And Tina Smith in Minnesota. I know the race is a bit closer against John Lewis, especially in the polling data, than 2018. However, I do think she'll be able to hold on to her Minnesota seat by a lean margin. Now, it might be closer and maybe tilt, but I'm going to leave it in a lean margin right now. So there's going to be 7 in my mind tilt red, tilt blue Senate seats this election. Obviously, Republicans have a bit of a majority since they do have a majority in the Senate, but let's see how that's going to end up. Now, I'm going to be going back and forth from tilt Republican to tilt Democrat, but I'm going to start with tilt Republican seats. I do see David Perdue defeating David Ossoff. I know Democrats definitely think it's going to be a competitive race this election. Polling has really narrowed up for the Democrat Senator Ossoff. I'm not really sure his first name. But I still do believe David Perdue will keep that seat. Obviously, Georgia is a Republican state. I do think that David Perdue will outperform the polling, maybe win the state by around 1 to 2 points. Also, Steve Bullock in Montana. Actually, you know what? I'm going to move Montana to the lean category. I know I was already past the leans, but I'm going to keep it in the lean category. Polling really has this race widening, and I do think that Steve Bullock will defeat Steve Daines in Montana. I know some polling has it close, and some has a Bullock widening huge lead. Based off of my experience from 2018, I pretty much see Montana as a Marsha Blackburn versus Phil Bredesen seat. That's all I see it as. Maybe it's a bit closer. Steve Bullock obviously being the governor of Montana, but Steve Daines, incumbent, running for re-election, popular in Montana, won by 18 points last election, will definitely keep the seat. However, it will stay by a lean margin. Okay, now back to tilt seats. I'm going to go to some tilt Democrat seats now. I do think that J, I'm sorry, John James will lose the Michigan seat, unfortunately for the Republicans. But really, it is probably unlikely that John James does pick it up. I do believe that Gary Peters will keep the seat. Polling really has Gary Peters up pretty significantly in the state. However, I do believe in the end it will be pretty narrow. You could characterize Michigan as a lean Democrat seat. However, I'm going to keep it as tilt because I do think that these polls are overestimating um, Gary Peters, and John James is going to make it close come election day. But I do not see a John James victory in Michigan. So 2 years in a row will not continue to be, I guess, um, the Michigan senator. So now we have 4 states to go with Susan Collins in Maine, Tom Tillis in North Carolina, Martha Mcsally. I think that's her name, in Arizona, and Joni Ernst in Iowa. 4 very crucial states for both parties if they want to take the White House. So for tilt Democrat states, and I'm going to try and be pretty careful with this, I do see Susan Collins losing her seat in Maine. Now, I know it's going to be very close. Susan Collins always puts up a fight in that. She won by very significant margins the previous election. She's won in 37 points in 37 points in 2014, and then 20-ish, so 2025 or something in 2008. Even in an Obama pretty much landslide election, she holds on to her seat. Now, I am going to keep this in the tilt blue category, but I would not be surprised if Susan Collins was able to pull it off by a tilt margin. However, my final prediction is going to have Sarah Gideon winning that race. Now, let's move on to tilt Republican states again. Iowa, Joni Ernst will win Iowa. I'm almost pretty certain of that. Democrats pretty much gave up in Iowa. Joe Biden is really campaigning a little bit in Georgia, a bit surprisingly, and in the Rust Belt. He needs to keep the Rust Belt. I do not see them winning Iowa. I don't see it happening in the general election, and I don't see it happening in the Senate election. Joni Ernst will keep her seat in Iowa, I do think, by around 1 to 2 points. However, if she does win by a lean margin, I wouldn't be surprised either. 2 more seats left: Marsha Mcsally versus John Kelly, and Tom Tillis versus Cal Cunningham. Now, I do see Tom Tillis winning his race in North Carolina against Cal Cunningham. For a number of reasons, the polls do tend to overestimate Republicans in North Carolina. I do see that happening again this year. Tom Tillis being the incumbent senator. And while Cal Cunningham, obviously, if you're familiar with the race, pretty much campaigning on honor and, honor and being a good person, obviously, with those revealing text messages, definitely will hurt his character and possibly take a lot of votes away from him in North Carolina, giving the incumbent senator, Tom Tillis, the victory. And he did win by a pretty significant margin in his previous election, I believe in 2014. Actually, he only won by around 2 points, but he still did win in 2014, and I still think he'll be able to hold on to the seat. So the final election seat that I have, so I do have Republicans maintaining the Senate, of course, and the final seat that I have is Martha Mcsally versus John Kelly in Arizona. Now, the reason why I am a bit skeptical on this seat is because I don't believe John Kelly is up 7 points in Arizona. My gut is telling me that it is going to be a very close race. Trump has definitely narrowed up his lead in Arizona in the 2020 general election. Martha Mcsally did lose to Kyrsten Sinema in 2018, but I just don't believe that Arizona has trended this far Democratic in honestly the span of 4 years, 6 years if you want to be generous, and 8. I just don't believe that. So I'm very, very skeptical with Arizona. 51 to 48. Obviously, Republicans maintain the majority in the Senate. However, this is probably one of the closest races in my mind. And I am going to go with the upset win here. Now, I know probably a lot of people are going to say that John Kelly is definitely going to win this race, and you may be right, but I believe that Marsha Mcsally will upset Mark Kelly in the Senate election in Arizona. I do not believe John Kelly is up by 5 points in the state. I believe it's a lot closer. And I honestly believe Martha Mcsally will be able to edge that seat out. Now, I know this is a long shot for me, but I'm going to give it. I'm going to give it to Martha Mcsally. Cinema won by 2 points in 2018. Now, mind you, that was a Democrat, or supposed to be a Democrat, wave year. However, Cinema did win by 2.3 points, obviously. Victory for the Democrats. But I do believe it will flip back into the Republican column at least one more time before it continues its process of going Democrat. So, to characterize all of the states now to their respective category, I'll color the map in red and blue. So, 52 to 48 overall, Democrats get a net gain of 1, Republicans losing 1, being or 2, but the Republicans gaining in Alabama. So Doug Jones leaving the Senate, and Cory Gardner and Susan Collins' senatorial time is over. However, she could win it. I'm giving it to, I always forget the person she's running against, but I'm giving it to her competitor in Maine. Anyway, 52 Republicans to 48 Democrats. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate all of it. If we could get to 75 subscribers by election day, it's a bit of a long shot, but that'll be awesome. And, thank you for watching my content, and stay tuned for more videos. Tomorrow I may come out with a video, or I may wait until Monday to make my final presidential election prediction. Still undecided with that. However, with that, thank you guys for watching. I know I've said this every single time, about 5 times at the end of my video, but thank you for watching, and subscribe, and make sure to stay tuned. More videos, especially coming up until the 2020 election. Thank you.